It all started from here at this mosque in Old Kampala. A youthful group belonging to the Tabliq Muslim sect attacked Muslim leaders and elders during the Jummah prayers at the mosque following a long-standing unresolved wrangles in the Muslim leadership. Haji Nsereko Mutumba, who has been a keen scholar of Muslim affairs in Uganda since 1970 and the public affairs officer of the Muslim Supreme Council, recalls the events leading the scuffle.
So these people came saying that whether it's the police, because government shouldn't intervene in our religious affairs, these are the people disturbing us. These are the people dividing us. We are youth. Now we have to fight these people. All these old people with all the brand of religion should be ejected. After all, they are the source of trouble. We should get our new people. So they came and took over the mosque on that very day.
Indeed, one of the issues of contention was the manner in which Islam should be practiced in Uganda, who should be at the helm of the leadership to guide the faithful regarding Islamic teachings.
Tabliq, for them, they said that your brand of worship is not well. We don't agree with that brand of worship, of going to Maulidi, putting on hairs, that he's in a photo of someone because he has died now. His hair is someone. You give him spears. No, that's shirk. You shouldn't go to Maulidi. You should wear beards. By the way, you shouldn't be led by even non-Muslims. We should follow Sharia. And now, those indoctrination started. They started to do this. If someone puts a tie, that's haram. If someone, that's haram. Then they used these youths. Mainly, they targeted those who are a bit illiterate about their religion. And also they tapped some, because that brand of teaching came from Saudi Arabia. So these are the people who went on saying, whichever you did, according to them, which is not related, they say, now, you are doing this. You give us a reference in the Quran or in the Hadith. They said that all these old people must go. After all, they have never, their faith is just shaky. They are not faithful enough. They don't believe in Hadith and the Quran. So now, what we have to do is to fight them off so that we can bring our brand of people who knows what on which. But now the problem, police came with the dogs to invade the mosque to fight them. And they fought the police and they killed the dogs. They said, but the dogs are not welcome in mosques.
In fact, they killed some policemen and some police dogs. So following that one, a number of them were arrested and put in reserve. And among them was Jamil Mukuru, who later on became the head of the ADF. When they were released, they established a camp in a place called Buseruka in Hoima.
When that sect attacked Buseruka police station, killed some people, we had to swing into action from Masindi barracks, where I was based, carried out operations with 1st Battalion and artillery and air defense that time, the soldiers, and we managed to dislodge them from Wambabia Gorge.
They lost like 96 people who were killed on spot.
The leaders survived, crossed Lake Albert into DRC Congo. I think that time it was still Zaire because Mobutu was still in charge.
The jungles of Zaire provided cover for the group, then calling itself the Uganda Muslim Freedom Fighters. From here, they contacted Mobutu forces, who offered them not only sanctuary, but also training and logistics to merge with an already existing rebel group called National Army for the Liberation of Uganda, NALU. Now, NALU was an offshoot of the old Rwenzururu movement, which fought Toro and colonial governments since the 1950s and subsequent governments after independence. Together, they formed the Allied Democratic Forces, the ADF.
I think largely not because those survivors of Rwenzururu rebellion were necessarily fundamentalists, but I think they must have received them that they are fighting for justice in order to have them on their side to be able to navigate Rwenzori Mountain.
Assured of Mobutu's support and protection, they made contact with the leaders who had escaped to Nairobi following the raid in Buseruka. They were then able to renew their connections with the fundamentalist Muslim leaders Al-Hassan Turabi and then President Bashir in Sudan. Sudan, which was already backing the Lord's Resistance Army of Joseph Kony in the north, saw a new chance by supplying the newly created rebel group with heavy weaponry to open a new front in western Uganda.
One suspect one could think of in the immediate is Sudan.
And I think they were also happy that they were stretching the UPDF, which had concentrated its operations in northern Uganda, but now they were opening another front to the west.
Mpondwe, a town bordering DRC in Kasese district, on the aftermath of the first ADF attack on the 13th November 1996. It is here that the ADF launched their first attack on Ugandan territory after a year of recruiting and training within Zairian jungles.
They thought they had marshaled enough power, then they decided to take on government forces, and hence it led them to 1996 attack on Mpondwe UPDF barracks.
Emboldened by supply of heavy arms and equipment, they launched the conventional war, which was met with heavy military response by the UPDF, and the ADF suffered huge losses on the battlefield. Many of them were captured.
Kampala.
Musa, PG district.
Jafari, Masaka district.
Musa, Barara district.
Zenurudini Rutaya district, Masaka district. Ze Kapalaga Musa. Zalibwa district ya West Nile. Nayenga nakulia mu PG district.
Those who survived that because they were thoroughly beaten, they had to retreat back to the mountains and started to launch real now terrorist activities.
The Rwenzori mountain ranges offered not only a perfect hideout, but also a very strategic base for military advantage for the retreating ADF. Another advantage was the composition of the rebels, among whom were former Rwenzururu and Naro fighters. Many of them hailed from the area and knew how to navigate the tenuous terrain.
Because without the local support and help, they couldn't have managed Rwenzori mountains. It is treacherous.
Located close to the Kabarore and Toroko district border, at a sharp corner overlooking Mount Rwenzori, is Uganda Technical College, Chwamba. On June 8, 1998, the Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, raided and burnt 80 students alive in 3 dormitories where the students had barricaded themselves for safety. 100 others were abducted. This was one of the worst among a series of attacks ADF carried out in the region in a bid to abduct civilians for recruitment into their ranks. Prosper Mbabazi is one of the lucky survivors of the inferno. Not only does he find himself having to navigate the world with bodily scars after a substantial part of his body burnt, but also he had to bear the traumatic memories of the attack that left a permanent mark on his life.
They came, attacked the first dormitory, terrorized them, then they were shooting, but we didn't know whether they were shooting these people. But we would hear bullets. And after very few minutes, those Kadogos, they came to our dormitory speaking Luganda, telling us to open, but no one could answer. And after some time, the commander came. He told them in Luganda that have you done anything? And this the boys told them that they have refused to open. Then he came to the door. He started shooting the padlock. Shot 6 bullets. and the padlock refused to open. He told those Kadogos to bring petrol. And then they started burning from those ends. And by that time I was under my bed. There was a poster on my bed up. It fell just next to my face, burning. That's when I realized that they had burned the dormitory. When I moved out of the from under the bed, I found that at least 3/4 of the dormitory are burnt.
Faced with this kind of insurgency, the UPDF re-strategized. And as part of this strategy, they created a new brigade. The Alpine Brigade specialized in maneuvering the mountain terrain and surviving under extreme low temperatures. The pressure created by this new force dislodged ADF from their mountain hideout, forcing them to resort to urban terrorism.
Yeah, that's when they unleashed, terrorism in this city. I think they killed more than 80 people, and a number of them were injured. And they were largely using these improvised explosive devices.
Towards the end of 1996 up to February 1997, this house that was located in Najanankumbi was rented by ADF bomb makers and turned into a bomb manufacturing and insurgent training center. On 22nd February 1997, the neighborhood was rocked by a big blast that blew the residents into pieces. One of the victims in the house was identified as Hussein Senkisa, an ADF bomb maker who died in the blast. On the 4th April 1998, 2 bombs went off simultaneously. One at Speak Hotel, killing 2 tourists and seriously injuring 2 hotel workers, and another one at Nile Grill claimed 2 lives and injured 1. On 13th July 1998, 2 bombs went off almost simultaneously. One at Slowboat pub on Kampala Road that killed 1 and injured 7, and another one at Isabella pub Makindi that killed 2 people and injured 4. On the 14th February 1999, Valentine's Day, 2 bombs detonated in Kabalagala, one at Telex Bar and another one at Afianex pub. 5 people died, 35 were critically injured. On 30th May 1999, at Sierra pub in Nakulabi, a bomb was detonated, killing 3 people and injuring 9. On 28th January 2001, a bomb went off at Mini Price Butter along Benchwanka Street, injuring 4 people, including the man himself who placed it, Bazakura alias Waligo.
I took the bomb until to the Mini Price Butter in Kampala. After paying the boda rider, then I was placing my flask on the ground. Then I came to do what? To pick it up and go to Chiku plane. So it busted before I catch it.
And did this damage you?
It damaged my leg.
Let me see.
It's here.
On 29th August 1998, 3 bombs detonated at different times in buses. A Kigali-bound bus belonging to ANK was blown up by a bomb that had been placed on board. 14 people died and 30 were critically injured. Another bomb detonated aboard the Kampala Gulu-bound Otada bus. On the same day, a bomb detonated aboard a Bulanjiti Mbarara-bound bus. 5 people died and 1 was injured. On the same day, 2 bombs detonated, one at Gapco petrol station and another one at Queensway opposite Hollywood Theatre. 1 person was injured. On the 14th March 2001, a bomb detonated in the evening in the crowded market along Nachivubo Road, killing 2 people and injuring 7. Another one detonated at Kafumbe Mukasa Road, killing 1 person and injuring 3. On the 8th May 1999, a bomb that had been planted among market merchandise detonated, killing 1 person instantly and seriously injuring 11 people. On July 2001, 3 bombs were detonated at different times in Jinja town, killing 1 person and injuring 13 people. This spate of bombing challenged the security agencies to come up with an effective counter-reaction that would restore order and peace in a city that was becoming a terrorism hotspot.
It was around that time that we formed what we call the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, which came to be known as JAT. So that was composed of officials from the different agencies. You have the military intelligence, you have the external security, you have the internal security, you have the police, but it was CMI led. It was led by the chieftains of military intelligence because of the capabilities we had at that time. So we were able to work together as a team and be able to infiltrate them and be able to identify, their contacts, and that's how we were able to neutralize them.
The Joint Task Force broke the ring of cells that were composed of bomb makers and their agents of terror, trained in weaving through the population and placing IEDs. A cache of bomb-making tools and components which had been stashed in various places across the country was unearthed. Many confessed of their role in the urban terrorism network.
I bought some greens and I put it in the cavera. After that, I told the woman that let me come, I'm still buying something there. Then I left off. I went off.
And what happened?
And the bomb blasted.
How many do you mean?
8 of them.
So what happened? Where did you give them to? Whom did you give? What happened to the bombs which you made?
They are thrown around Kampala.
So they took you to Nairobi?
Yeah, they took me to Nairobi. We were 4. So I was one of the 4. We went in a certain house. So on that day, they started to train us in bomb making.
So what did you expect to get from that when they were training you?
Many things. First, I was expecting to get money from that, and they were telling us that we are going to fight for our Islam, to defend our Islam.
Natuukaawo twetwalagana okusinkana essaawa zaali zibeze 2:30 nga zinatera okuwera 3 ndowooza bwenteebereza kuba saayina ssaawa najja n'ekisawo n'aŋŋamba ngoberera ne mugoberera ne tutuuka mu kazikiza n'ampa akasawo n'aŋŋamba kwata nenkwata n'aŋŋamba ngoberera nemugoberera ne tutuuka mu kakuubo awali watudde abantu nga balya n'aŋŋamba tuula awo nentuula n'aŋŋamba teekaawo nenteekaawo nensituka nentambula
ensawo n'ogirekawo?
ensawo nengirekawo.
Kati ogenda okuwulira
kyatulise
ekitta abantu
saamanya.
What we have never been achieved is to get some people, to get these thugs with their, where they are making these bombs, where they're trained from, and but to have managed to get all the bombs, including grenades, materials which could have made at least 80, almost 60 bombs, and we have got all of them because at first when they bombed here on 4th June, we knew them, but they were using code names. So we went slowly until when they bombed the Jinja, we managed to get all of them, including their commanders.
Having captured the masterminds of all the major bombing incidences, the security agencies were faced with the absence of strong legislation that would handle the new wave of crime, in which there was wanton indiscriminate targeting of civilians. This phenomenon set in motion an urgent legislative process that would lead to a specific law to deal with terrorism.
The Penal Code of Uganda provides for an offense of terrorism. So we can use the penal code to charge them. But the only problem lies in the fact that currently the terrorism offense is bailable, which means that as soon as they appear before court, they can claim sickness and other grounds and receive bail. These are some of the areas we would wish the new act to pay attention to. How long period a terrorist is available to services for interrogation? What are the rights? We think that an offense like terrorism should not be bailable, and we think it should attract a death sentence, because we have had many citizens lost at the hands of these indiscriminate killers. So we have a law now which can deal with it, but that law is weak. So what we expect out of the Suppression of Terrorism Act is a more comprehensive piece of legislation which will deal with the masterminders of terrorism, the assemblers of bombs, the financiers, those who distribute terrorist materials, those who give them money, those who train them, so that the whole network is responded to adequately by the legislature.
Subsequently, a new law, the Anti-Terrorism Act 2002, was enacted. It provided for suppression of acts of terrorism, which entailed more stringent punishments of persons who plan, instigate, support, finance, or execute acts of terrorism. It also eased investigations into acts of terrorism. The multi-pronged anti-insurgency response, which comprised the specialized Alpine Brigade permanently stationed in the Rwenzori Ranges, better intelligence gathering, dismantling of terrorism cells across the country, together with the new legislation, ADF was rolled back. Having lost capacity to wage war in Uganda's territory, they fled back into their haven in DRC. Because the ADF remained a potential security threat, Uganda has been drawn into the DRC on 2 occasions.
We went to Congo after the ADF had attacked Uganda. And when they withdrew to Congo, the DRC. So we had to follow them there and make sure that we dislodge them from where they were and push them some distances from the border.
On April 2015, the ADF rebel leader, Jamil Mukulu, was arrested in Tanzania. Jamil, who had eluded capture, had more than 10 passports, used numerous pseudonyms, and doctored his appearances, was subsequently repatriated to Uganda and is facing numerous terrorism charges. In the eyes of Uganda's security, ADF has been incapacitated.
Because really their numbers have been reduced, their capacity to fight, the capture of their leader, Jamil Mukuru, also has had an effect on them. A number of their commanders have been captured. And yeah, so I don't think they are such a big threat